The next recommendation is to create the network you need next. Not the network you need now. Hopefully, you already got one. But if you're going to be prepared for success, you have to prepare for the network that you need next. What I mean by that is if you are working as a janitor and then you actually want to be an accountant for the next stage of your career, then you can go to the janitorial conferences. There are janitorial conferences. So janitorial and waste management conferences. There's a lot of big ones here. I believe in Las Vegas here, right here off the strip, not too far from my place. You're going to have colleagues and people that you connect with. You're going to be budgeting as far as your salary and all that based on a janitor or a waste management person's salary. Makes perfect sense. Okay. But then you want to be an accountant. So, do you have anyone in your network that's an accountant? Do you have anyone around um, who already has like their, I think it's called the CPA. So, someone that has their CPA, someone that actually is already doing the stuff that you want to be doing next. I think that's a key part of the experience of getting to the next level. With me, I was and have been a longtime journalist. I have 2 degrees in journalism, and so I have that. But once I got my degree in journalism, I realized I wanted to actually run a publication or a platform. So then I got to know and have people in my network who were publishers or who were editors who were at such a high level that they were kind of running the publication. And then when I wanted to get more into books, then that satellite grew into people who are best-selling authors, who are authors who were struggling, still trying to figure out their niche, people who were they're called mid-list authors who are kind of like the middle class of authors where they don't have super high highs, but they don't have lows either. I had all those folks. Shout out to the American Society of Journalists and Authors, where I met a lot of those people. I became a board member later on in my career. And so that ended up being representative of success I actually wanted to have. So it's like, yes, I'm an accomplished newspaper author, and I'm getting into magazines and all these other things. At the time, blogs were relatively new and websites, so I was already starting to master and get into those. And I'm like, but I want to write books. Okay, well then my network needs to reflect that. My network reflects that. You know, it's I think it's so important to understand that. And yes, exactly. We often celebrate the person on top of the mountain without recognizing the climb. Exactly, and that's a callback to Brene Brown. Thank you, but that's exactly it. And so, not recognizing those different steps that you need to take along the way. If you invest, and I don't mean like necessarily pay money. If you want to go to the conferences and pay money, that's cool. I go to the TED conference. And I get it. I get it. When I say invest, though, I don't mean like literally always give people money. What I mean is, again, going to the conferences as well as investing your other resources, time, energy, ways you can barter. I can think of quite a few instances where I bartered with people that I knew that they had insight or resources that I could really use to help me. But then also knew that I was an expert at or good at these other things. And it's like, oh, do you guys need this? And they're like, yeah. I'm like, bet. Why don't we go ahead and help each other? And there's a lot of success that I had just based on that energy. If you're able to do that, then you're able to go even further and start to learn the language, start to learn the the culture, the what's required for your success. Like I say this in my keynotes all the time. If a thought leader or if someone were to call me right now and be like, hey, we love you to keynote this series, it'll be this is what we're working with and you'd be on the road X amount of time. I already know like the dynamics I'd have to create to make sure that my kids are taken care of while I was on the road. I know what my worth is as far as how much I charge as a speaker. I already have the 431 episodes of this. We're watching episode 431 right now and hanging out to know what's required of the show while I'm on the road. Because obviously, I won't be able to do the show on the road because I'd be keynoting. I already have all my books available and have the publishing set up so that I can get them a bunch of copies so they can sell. Like all those structures and systems are built in. Those I take pride in having those systems built in because I'm ready for whatever phone calls might come. I'm ready. That's what's really getting at as far as creating the network you need next. I know what to charge for a keynote. I know how to handle things with being busy and also making sure that my family's taken care of. I know how to what products, including books, that I need when I'm on the road and when I'm speaking. I know that because my network over the past decade, decade and a half, 2 decades, however long you want to go back. If I sit there and think about it, maybe even further back than that, going back to grad school and all those things, they gave me the insight so that I was prepared for whatever success might come next. So as far as selling my startup, about 10 years ago called Cuddler, again, I talked about that in the previous episode. The links are below. So in episode 430, um, whether it's having the best-selling book and then knowing how to leverage being on the bestseller list, like all those little details that came from my network. It wasn't like, I knew this at birth. If you can establish your network well enough, then not only will you be able to become successful, but you'll be able to stay successful. That's what you really want. There's so many folks, I love music. You see John Coltrane up there. So many folks, particularly unfortunately, like the hip hop community, as well as, to be honest, in the younger rock community, where they get these, I don't know, $10 million contracts, $100 million contracts. They're getting 500,000 a show, and then they're broke a year later. It's not just because of that lifestyle. It's also because they didn't have a network that was like, hey, yo, don't do that. Don't no. Again, you're gonna have the gray hair one day. You might not want to do that. They didn't have that. So it's not so we're talking about not being ready for success. I'm not saying that you shouldn't be successful. What I'm saying is once you're successful, are you actually ready for it? That's a different question. Again, it's not clickbait to be like, "Oh, you're not ready." It's more like, "No, I believe you're going to be successful." That's why I coach. That's why I do this free show. Like, I believe in you. The question is, once you get that success, can you keep it? That's the question. And I think a key part of that is making sure your network's tight. My network is great. It helps me sleep at night because I've seen some of that success, and whew, without people in your corner, man, that is a lonely road. One quick sidebar, which y'all might appreciate. Again, I'm a big music guy, and I love listening to musicians, and some of my good friends are musicians. I don't play anything myself, but I'm surrounded by people that do. And remember hearing Lionel Richie, of course, the the famous R&B singer from the 70s and 80s, 70s with the Commodores, 80s on his own. Very much a part of my childhood because you can do the math. And I remember him talking about success, and I think it was one year when All Night Long came out, and Say You Say Me I think came out. It was just this year where kind of like a Kendrick Lamar year. He just had a year like that where he did the Super Bowl, got Grammys, and of course, had the big battle with Drake and all that stuff. It was one of those years for him, and he was like, and this years later he was talking about it, but it had to be 1986, 87, something like that, mid 80s. And he's like, look, I was on stage and I got like 5 Grammys. It was ridiculous. It was kind of like Michael Jackson where he's holding all the Grammys. You see the famous shot of him and Quincy Jones. But it was like that. He's holding all the Grammys. And he's like, yeah. And he's like, I made it to the top. I made it to the top. And then he was like, what no one tells you is that No one else is at the top with you. You're there alone. That's cliche. It's lonely at the top. It's true. That's what he was saying. It broke my heart. And I heard him say that ages ago. Ages ago. And this was probably, I think he said that probably about 10 years ago. I guess it was ages ago. And that stuck with me. In fact, it had to be longer than that because before I had some of my bigger successes. And I was like, wow, how sad that to be successful, you have to be alone because not many people can understand. You know, the more rare your success, the less people are going to understand. But now I understand, as you're talking about, that I'm like, wait, you didn't have a support network. You didn't have one person or several people that stood by your side. Your day ones, as we say. You didn't have the people there from day one. So of course it was lonely. When I had Cuddler, I was with my partner at the time and had my beautiful baby boy who was probably he had just turned 2. And I had the rest of my family, but my nuclear family was just the 3 of us. The day we sold the app, I was like, "Hey, take us out to dinner," and celebrated with them. When I had my first major bestseller, I had my second kid, and then at that time it was the 4 of us. Now I have a network of probably about 12 people, chosen family, some of them are actual family. So I know if I get that proverbial phone call I was talking about earlier, I'm not going to lose my mind. Listen to Lionel Richie. If you don't have the journey people in your network, you have a hole in your net. Couldn't said it better. Thank you. That is word is bond. One of my favorite books that talks about networks is the Songs of Significance. Where is it? There it is. Love having a live show. Seth Godin, shout out to Seth Godin. Hope you're doing well. The Song of Significance, fantastic little book. You notice there's a B on the front. And in fact, I have my cup. I love my cup, by the way. I have my cup that's actually has the same B on there. The B, of course, represents the group. So Seth is similar to me, independent, creating stuff on his own. Big advocate for that. He's been a mentor and guiding light as far as stuff I do. And even him, this is his second to last book that he did. It just came out a couple years ago. Even he's like, no, it's a beehive. You need to connect with other people. And by you connecting with other people, you're serving other people. By serving other people will serve you. There you go. Buy the book anyway. That's the basic idea of it. Significance means how are you making an impact on the world? How are you bringing your worth? Love you, Seth. Fantastic book. And then what I was just talking about, discover the secret to achieving success with a personal board of directors to be specific. It's episode 100. So this episode came out like 3 or 4 years ago, and I still recommend it. If you're not sure where to start as far as your network, this is a great place to start. So what about y'all? If you were to be successful right now, right now, again, you get that proverbial phone call right now, at this second. You're like, oh, I can't watch Damon's show anymore. I can't tune in. I got this phone call. Oh, success literally rings. Again, I've had it happen before. Look at my eyes. I have no reason to BS you. Seen it, did it, been there. It changes like that. Do you actually have a network, a personal board of directors, whatever you want to call it? Your people, your day ones, I don't care. Whatever you call it. Do you have that? If you're going after a particular success, do you have a network that's going to sustain that success for you? It's about sustainability. I don't think I can emphasize it anymore. Let me know in the comments. Do you got the support network? Are you trying to build one? Heck, if you end up jumping in the comments, maybe there's some people that can join your support network here. We're all after the same energy. I'm entrepreneurial coach Damon Brown, here to help you as a side hustler, solopreneur, otherwise a non-traditional entrepreneur. You're watching Bring It Worth TV Wednesdays live at 1:11 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, Vegas time. It is getting hot. Forgive me for the sweat. So we are live as heck from Vegas. I'll try to keep it PG. You subscribe for free right below. This is episode 431, and we're talking about why you might not be ready for success. Again, it's not trying to be a downer towards you. I want you to be in a position where you can actually hold on to your success, actually build your success versus it just being something that that you're rocking with. All right. When it comes to keeping your success,